Should be very interesting today. We are going to talk about the Epstein list and who is on it. I don't know. To be revealed. Maybe we'll reveal some things here on the show. Emilie Hagen joins us, independent journalist. She was, of course, giving us reports from the Diddy trial and other high-profile cases. You can follow her, Emilie Hagen, Hagen. Emily is with an IE. It's sub.substack.com, and also Emily Knows Everything on Instagram. Laila Mickelwait will then join us. She is on a campaign to essentially corral that phenomena which is out of control, really internationally, but certainly in our country, which is that of free pornography. And what is at issue there? Laila is at Laila Mickelwait, Mickelwait, on X and Instagram. Trafficking Hub 1 on X. Got a lot to get into. Let's do so right after this.
Our laws as it pertains to substances are draconian and bizarre. The psychopath started this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
I'm excited to bring you a new product, a new supplement, Fatty. I take it. I make Susan take it. My whole family takes it. This comes out of, believe it or not, dolphin research. The Navy maintains a fleet of dolphins, and a brilliant veterinarian recognized that these dolphins sometimes developed a syndrome identical to our Alzheimer's disease. Those dolphins were deficient in a particular fatty acid. She replaced the fatty acid, and they didn't get the Alzheimer's. Humans have the same issue, and we are more deficient in this particular fatty acid than ever before. And a simple replacement of this fatty acid called C15 will help us prevent these syndromes. It's published in a recent journal called Metabolites. It's a new nutritional C15, pentadecanoic acid it's called. The deficiency that we are developing for C15 creates something called the cellular fragility syndrome. This is the first nutritional deficiency syndrome to be discovered in 75 years and may be affecting us in many ways, and as many as 1 in 3 of us. This is an important breakthrough. Take advantage of it. Go to fatty15.com/Dr. Drew to receive 15% off a 90-day starter kit subscription, or use code Dr. Drew at checkout for that 15% off, or just go to our website, drdrew.com/fatty15. And Dr. Stephanie will be joining us in, I think, next week or so. We're going to talk about other things, the potential of reducing the risk of dementia and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease from fatty. And then to go alongside of that is I have the NR Boost and the Cinesync. These are things you all should be taking. Fatty 15 and NR Boost at minimum. These things dramatically, for the first time, we can affect longevity and wellness. That's where you can get the NR Boost and the Cinesync. Susan takes it. I take it every day, all 3. Cinesync, NR Boost, Fatty 15, and it's all pushing back. Finally, we can push back the process of aging, which to a large part, at least a big piece of it, is oxidative stress. You know how a piece of metal can oxidize and rust? Biological processes oxidize too. And as we age, we also lose things like NAD. It drops down naturally. We can boost that with NR. We can increase our natural killer function. These are the cells that survey for cancer and infection with resveratrol, which is in Cinesync. So take a look at the science for yourself. I just don't try to figure out ways to motivate people to do these, to get these products, because everyone should be taking them. All right. Emily Knows Everything on Instagram. Emily with an IE is joining us now. You can also follow Emilie Hagen on Substack. Emily, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So I understand there are some surprises on the Epstein list, and that there's some things that people are speculating about whom and who might not be on that list. I have suggested to, I think it was you, I brought this up in the Gutfeld show, that we put Susan on the list, or we raise that potential that Susan is on the Epstein list to see where it goes. But no one took that one.
Well, Drew, there's a lot of people.
Maybe they did.
People think that you're projecting. Let's just start it by saying that.
That I'm projecting.
Yes. So after our show last week, I posted the clip where I said Dr. Drew does not believe there is a list. And my mom called and she goes, I really hope Dr. Drew isn't reading your comment section. You're never going to be on that show again. They're ripping him apart. And so I looked and they all think you're on the list. They said, Dr. Drew is definitely on the list. He must be on it. Tell me you're on the list without telling me you're on the list. Emilie, why are you doing Dr. Drew's show? He's in the fame club. How else do you think he got all his fame? To which someone replied, Paramount/MTV. And then it got a little more dark. Someone said, I'm really surprised by the reaction of Dr. Drew. It's kind of weird seeing him being so defensive towards this situation. You would think a guy like Dr. Drew would be more sympathetic, especially when talking about pedophilia. Then my favorite comment was
that's actually hang on. That's actually not a dark comment. That's a reasonable comment. I agree with that because I fluctuate a little bit whenever I say I don't really care about this thing. I think, well, you know, these people are pedophiles. That's for sure. And and by the way, God knows there are a lot of those out there, and I've dealt with them for many, many years. I have no patience with any of that. But for the whole country to be unraveling because of this one,
what do you mean you've dealt with them?
Okay, there needs to be justice. Pedophiles? Are you kidding? Loveline, almost every call was somebody who was sexually abused as a child. I mean, it was so common in the 80s and 90s, you can't even imagine. And on my drug unit, if you came onto the drug unit, there was about a 60% probability that you'd been sexually and physically abused in childhood. That's just was very, very common. And it was one of the underpinnings of addiction because of that trauma. So anyway, the point, I'm not defending, I'm just sort of explicating. So I'm sympathetic to that one comment. That one seems good to me. But
they're wondering why you're sympathetic towards the people that call into Loveline, but then when it's celebrities that could potentially be pedophiles, you're kind of brushing it off.
I am brushing. I love the way you're presenting this to me. I'm brushing off here's the thing. Two things. One, if these people are criminal masterminds, like I suspect they are, I don't imagine they wrote a list down. It's going to be just a bunch of videos, right? Now, maybe somebody has collated the videos and has some sort of library card or something of the videos. So I guess there's something like a list, but there's not like a little black book that Epstein carried around in his pocket. That makes no sense to me. That seems like a fantasy. So that's what I was saying when I said no list.
Right. I think people took it a little out of context because I don't think you denied that there was something dark happening, right?
Oh yes, I was there, Emilie. Don't you know? I was on Epstein Island. Of course, I know something terrible was happening. These people told you I was there? I must have been there. I just can't remember. I guess I don't know. I seem to have amnesia.
That, some of them have watched you for many, many years, and they said, I don't know what it was, Emily, about this one clip, but suddenly Dr. Drew has dead eyes.
So Caleb, I thought especially you would love this because Caleb harkens from this kind of thinking. So tell me more, Caleb. What do you think?
Caleb didn't get any hate. I posted Caleb saying Epstein's still alive, and people like that.
Oh, well, I love the people as well. But like this is like the furthest possible thing from Dr. Drew of all people on earth. Like, this is not the one maybe I got
brainwashed and I can't remember. Caleb, maybe.
Well, maybe you're MK Ultra. Who knows? I just like,
if
Emilie, if Drew is MK Ultra, then they have waited a long time to activate this asset. Like, they could have activated him 20, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, but they're still waiting, I guess.
I mean, I think Drew, that's going to sound kind of rude, but I think you're a little too maybe boring to go to Epstein Island. Like, you don't seem like a big partier, a raging partier. That's my opinion.
What I like, Emilie, is Susan talks the way you talk, Emilie. It's like you're like I'm sorry, I'm going to say you're too boring for me to go to.
I just can't picture you ripping shots on the Lolita Express with Kevin Spacey in the bathroom.
I don't know. Maybe
now
that's
Elon
all a
is
cover.
saying there is a bathroom. There is a bathroom on the plane. Elon did tweet that yesterday to Kevin Spacey.
Maybe it's a cover.
No, bedroom.
Maybe it's a cover.
A bedroom in the back of the plane. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone would know. It would be Drew, not Caleb, not Susan. It would be Drew.
And Susan, what did I say when they mentioned the the bedroom in the back of the plane.
Something could go down in there.
No. I think Susan's on the list.
Worse, Susan.
No, I really think.
What did you say? I don't know
she's
what
on
you
the
said.
list. I said
Don't do
that's
that
of
to
course. These planes they travel in these planes. There's a bedroom back there. That's what happened.
Well,
but
it's
then
like
you
a
could say,
737,
I was
right?
on the plane. That's why I said of course. But anyway, the point I'm making is, go ahead, Emily, finish it up.
No, I just think I think you should make. I think it's time for you to make your point. Actually, I'm just the voice of the people. Okay.
I appreciate all of their concerns, but you can twist anything into anything, and that's the point. So no matter what I say, somebody is going to say that what I'm saying is, you can twist it into some sort of something that means something, right? That's all we can do. That.
Right.
That's how our cognitive functionings work. And especially when there's a paranoid intent behind it, because part of paranoia is when you don't have adequate information, then you're going to make meaning from the snippets you have. And oftentimes that is a very flawed way of reasoning, because you're not reasoning in a Bayesian fashion with adequate information. And I'm here, let me be super clear, because if I don't say this, they'll say I didn't say this, and therefore I was on the list. I've never met Mr. Epstein. I've never been on his plane. I've never been to Epstein Island. I don't like the fact that the whole country is like vibrating, worrying about this asshole. I talked to.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Now you're
Anusa.
pulling a Donald Trump. Why are we still talking about Epstein?
I am a little
Why is the
bit.
world vibrating?
I am. And full respect to people like Anusa, who were taken advantage of by these people whose lives were turned upside down. I mean, go watch that interview if you want to hear what happened to the women that were trafficked and abused by this. Listen to that interview. And this woman that has now died, I worry that something happened to her. Indeed, that maybe it wasn't a suicide or whatever they're saying it was. And yes, the justice needs to be served, but I think let this thing come out in real time. Let it happen.
Yeah, but it's not going to come
unfold.
out because
Don't
now Trump's saying that it's a big hoax. Now we've entered the Jeffrey Epstein hoax era, where he's basically saying that the radical left have hit pay dirt again. He's putting out. He's blaming Comey. He's putting blame on everyone, and people are mad. So now, because he won't be transparent,
I don't blame them.
You're getting blamed because they won't release it. Now you're getting.
Listen to this.
You're
Listen
catching
to what
straight.
Tucker
That's actually
said.
causing seismic political problems, and I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better. I really do. But what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's the frustration of normal people watching a certain class of people get away with everything every single time.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That I agree with. That is the reasonable thing to be concerned about, but it's happening everywhere all the time in so many domains. Let's keep our eye on that ball and see if we can, with time, get this all sort of unraveled. So people.
But I think the reason people are mad is because of the blatant
for thee,
gaslighting.
but not me, is no longer the way of America. What about gaslighting?
That we're being gaslit. So I understand the American people, the everyday person, the ones that are not part of the club, like they were literally told, this was part of his campaign. If he gets elected, he's going to release the list. Pam Bondi, they're waving the binders. And now we're getting told that if you even believe in the list, that you're acting like a Democrat and carrying out the Democrats' work. That's insane. I think today was the most insane tweet he has ever put out on Truth Social, because I've never seen MAGA in such, people are outraged.
This is a report that came out yesterday, Drew, that said that President Trump has been personally contacting prominent conservative influencers, urging them to tone down their criticism of his administration's handling of the Epstein case.
It's so bad. It's so bad that Emily has developed jazz hands right here, right now. I just saw some jazz hands there.
Well,
but listen,
I'm really upset. I don't know why I care
letter.
so much. I am really upset, but I think the reason someone today said, Emily, your vibration's low. You have bad energy right now. Why do you care? And I was like, I just hate liars and I hate being gaslit. I feel like the lying is really what I'm mad about, the lying. And I hate when people aren't transparent. I like when things are just on the table. Like, I'm like, hey, Drew, you're boring. Like that. I like that. You know what I mean? I like, just talk shit to my face, say what you mean. I don't like this like secretive stuff that's happening. And I also don't like that Trump thinks that we're all stupid. It's so annoying.
Well,
Emily,
I'm going to say, let me just push back on one simple thing that sometimes common things happen commonly. You know what I mean? And somebody like him, I mean, I'm going to talk to Laila in a minute about people that do this kind of stuff. And they're not as infrequent as you'd imagine. And they have many different flavors to them. And in a weird way, Ghislaine may be the real kind of mastermind sociopath in this, if indeed she was grooming these poor women. So there's a lot of psychopathology, criminal behavior that is common in what they were doing. What's odd is all the celebrities and how we hobnob with everybody, and then we immediately start assuming that people were brought into this thing, and then you're hearing that maybe they were, and Prince Andrew and blah blah blah, and we're building big castles in our brains, and they may be true, but let's give it a chance to come out. Let's keep the heat on, but not be in a panic about it. Like I said, I'm on the list. I was there. Susan's on the list. It wasn't that exciting. Wasn't that interesting?
Really quick.
Nothing to see here, guys.
But they're trying to free Ghislaine now.
I know, but maybe they'll free her on the condition that she talks. That could be interesting.
That's not going to happen.
That's going to get screwed
up. We don't live
in
a world. This is hell. We're living in hell. This feels like hell right now. I feel like I'm burning in flames.
Okay.
Like, this is not, we're never going to get the truth. I said it since day one. When they said we were getting the truth, I said, there's no way the Trump administration is ever giving us those names. The public could not handle it.
And so, by the way,
it's like that.
Did you see, what's the attorney's name? Help me. The Yale attorney.
Pam Bondi?
No. The defense attorney, Dershowitz. Dershowitz said, I've seen who was there. It's all redacted. I know why they're being protected, meaning there's a motivation that makes sense. It's not irrational. And that's that. And he didn't say the world will come undone. He didn't say, oh my God, wait till you see. He just was like, yeah, there's a list. There's some people. I looked at it, and we'll know one day is sort of what kind of wink, wink what he's saying. And then you've got the FBI agents going, wink, wink, we're lying, because they are. And we'll see. Let's give it some time to come to the truth. In the meantime, keep the heat on. And Tucker Carlson was, I think, spot on there. We are tired of we are tired of justice for thee, but not for me. That is a sick. There's so much about our country that is ill right now, and this is just another thing. Mm-hmm. So let's keep keep the heat on it. How's Kanye doing?
Yeah. I haven't even been following Kanye. I'm so upset about that.
Can I say something really quick about the post that Trump made?
Yeah.
Telling the media, the conservative media, to stop doing it. It reminds me of the letter you got about Luigi Mangione.
The letter that we're not going to talk about? Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you said we were going to talk about it, but we're not going to talk about him.
Yeah, it's censorship. This is crazy. Come on, let's talk about it.
Well, I am willing to allow. I have my own theories about what's going on, and I'm willing to allow the legal process to unfold. I do not want to adulterate that in any way. And when I see what I see, when the facts are presented, I will have an opinion. And I will speak about it. I'm also, in addition to all the nonsense we're talking about of the justice for people getting away with stuff in certain positions, we're also tired with people telling us we can't express our opinions. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. We have opinions. We're allowed to discuss them. This is the United States. Now, I understand I have an ethical sort of a crucible to bear as a physician that my words carry weight. I understand that can influence maybe jury pools and things, so I'm willing to I'll give it a little time. Listen, everybody, think in terms of time being an important ingredient in getting to the truth and getting where we want to go. Let time come to bear. Everyone's in a panic all the time. Don't be in a panic. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. Let's just get where we need to go in good time, as the Wicked Witch of the West says. Emily, anything else you're working on now? What do we find on your Substack?
Yeah, I mean, this week, I didn't want to. I was so sick of talking about Epstein that I decided to do a deep dive into lipstick. So it got people thinking about lipstick. And then people were even outraged by that. People were like, how dare you encourage consumerism? And I'm like, you don't have to wear a lipstick. If you don't want to have crimson lips, you don't have to. But I realized this week, I hate the internet, but I also love it. People are going to be mad no matter what you do. And I'm getting back into my Maha routine. I'm working out, getting sunlight, because you can't find true happiness on the internet.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you so much.
And the lipstick, I'm assuming you took the lipsticks, the makeup all the way back to the Egyptians or the Sumerians?
Yes. Yeah, people were mad about that.
Good.
Like, how dare you talk about the Sumerians? I'm like, we're mad at the Sumerians too. We're mad at Cleopatra for using ants. Like, what are we mad about? The best part is, though, you always, I mean, it's really good that you don't read the troll comments, because I was getting mad for you, because I know you didn't go to the island.
Well, I just made a reference to the Wicked Witch of the West, which people will take as a code for I was on Epstein Island. So there you go. So be that as it may, we continue to
last question.
Along.
Do you think
Emily?
they're going to? Do you think they're going to free Ghislaine? Do you think Trump will pardon her?
I do, and I well, only if there's a. I feel like there's a cascade of influences and phenomenon that have to be sorted through before we get to the truth. And I sort of feel like one of them may be her coming out. And if she comes out on the condition that she speaks and that we can somehow get to the truth, or she helps us get to the truth or something, I think that she might come out. She might.
And all of a sudden, like paparazzi photographed her running through the, oh, look at Ghislaine running. And it's all feeling very orchestrated. And I feel like the people are waking up to the bullshit. The internet is too good. Even though I hate it, it's too good. Like, they can't lie to us as much anymore because we see every little angle now. They're even releasing new footage to the assassination attempt. There's new footage and new angles coming out that's going to be brewing more conspiracies. So we're in a really weird time.
Well, we have to watch out for our own reasoning. Our reasoning, our cognitive functioning is what can lead us off, not the internet, unfortunately.
And we may not even know if it's AI or not, because they're so good at it.
That is a whole nother challenge. And that's why everyone be careful, think carefully, reserve judgment, don't jump to conclusions. Emily, we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for clearing that up.
Always.
Bye.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure that we did, but let's get to my next guest, who has got a very interesting story about free pornography. The fact that porn is so available that for a lot of people, this instrument, holding up my phone, is a crack pipe. And a lot of people are showing up on these, what are they called? Tubes. The tubes, I think, is what Laila taught me, that don't know they're there or didn't get permission to be there. Laila can be followed on X. Her name looks like Laila, Laila Mickelwait, Mickelwait, X, Instagram, and then it's Trafficking Hub 1 on X, traffickinghub.com. Laila, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for wading through our little fun and games there for a few minutes about Epstein. But talk to us about what your campaign is, how you got to it. And Caleb, I want you to feel free. I know you have some concerns about how this gets done, and I'm willing to let you ring in here too as well. But Laila, explain what is at issue.
Sure. Yeah, the issue, and excuse my voice, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I was getting over a bug, so please excuse that. But yeah, the issue here is illegal content proliferating on what in 2020 was the 5th most visited website in the world, the most popular porn site in the world, a cultural icon at the time. In 2020, when the fight to hold them accountable for the mass distribution of sexual crime, and that includes child sexual abuse, rape, trafficking, revenge porn, what we call image-based sexual abuse, and all forms of non-consensual content being mass distributed on this website for profit, for the profit of the owners of this website, and done so intentionally. And we have mountains of evidence now of the way that this company was operating, the policy decisions that were made that enabled the abuse. And so this is an issue of the world's biggest porn site being infested with videos of real sexual crime. And that is because in 2020, I discovered what millions of people already knew. And that is that all it took to upload to Pornhub was an email address, that in under 10 minutes, anybody in the world with only an email address, anonymously could upload sex videos to the site without verifying ID to make sure that these are not children in the videos, without verifying consent to make sure that they're not rape or trafficking victims. And because of that, the site actually became a crime scene. I often say that Pornhub is not a porn site, it's actually a crime scene. And these children, even children as young as 3, the stories that really arrested my attention and started this movement for accountability that's called the Trafficking Hub movement. In late 2019, there were some really concerning headlines that grabbed my attention as somebody who's been in this fight for now almost 20 years. In the fight against sex trafficking. And I was paying attention to the headlines. And there was a headline about a 15-year-old girl from Broward County, Florida, who was missing for an entire year. And she was finally found when her distraught mother was tipped off by a Pornhub user that he recognized her daughter on the site. And she was found in 58 videos being raped and trafficked for profit on Pornhub. The London Sunday Times did an investigation at the same time, and they found dozens of illegal videos on the site within minutes, even children as young as 3 years old. And so the question became, how in the world did this happen? And that's when I began to really more deeply investigate the site and realized that this site was, like I said, infested with sexual crime. And just to give a sense for how big Pornhub was at the time when this fight began, Pornhub in 2020, by the end of 2020, Pornhub had 170 million visits per day, 62 billion visits per year. They had enough content uploaded every year, every 12 months. It would take 169 years to watch if you put those videos back to back. They were named as the 3rd most influential tech company on global society, just behind Facebook and Google. And, this was the YouTube of porn, right? This was where anybody in the world who had an iPhone could become a pornographer and upload sex videos, again, anonymously to the world's largest porn site. That's how this happened. And we've come a long way in the fight for accountability because, there are so many victims whose lives have been completely shattered by this predatory organization, and they have to be held accountable.
And you're trying to make it less accessible in terms of upload, and then you're also trying to hold them accountable for the crimes. And then you're also trying, I want to make sure I get what all the different action plan is you're looking for. And also you want people to have some sort of verification to get on these sites.
100%. So part of this is accountability. It's justice being fully served. Because when we serve justice to those who are, like I say, corporate abusers, I call them mega traffickers, then what we can do is not only bring healing to victims and justice to victims, but we can then deter future abusers. Deterrent is a really powerful tool when we're thinking about combating sexual crime. And it's real and it's important. And so when we hold them fully accountable, and what that means is, right now we have over 300 victims who have sued Pornhub in 27 lawsuits, including certified class action lawsuits on behalf of tens of thousands of child victims. And they're going to trial in September. There's going to be a trial in September in Alabama on behalf of these children, tens of thousands of children who've been abused this way on Pornhub, again, for profit. And so we need to see justice for them. We also need to see criminal justice served. But then to your point of prevention, right, and policy, and how do we prevent this from happening in the future? Well, the key to that is, look back at the origin of the problem. The origin of the problem was unregulated, free uploading without verifying ID or consent or age. And so if we want to actually fix the problem, the way we do that is we have mandatory third party, right? Third party is important. It's independent third party age and consent verification for every single individual on every single website that per terms of service distributes user-generated pornography. And we want to see that at a government level. So we want to see that, federal policy in countries around the world. But we also want to see corporate policy where we know that the credit card companies have an enormous power over these websites and how they behave. We know this because when Visa, MasterCard, and Discover joined PayPal in cutting all ties with Pornhub, they actually have taken down 91% of the entire website is gone. They had to delete over 50 million videos and images because they were unverified. And what Financial Times has called probably the biggest takedown of content in internet history. They did this because of the pressure from the credit card companies. So we need to see Visa implement a policy that says we don't do business with user-generated porn sites that don't verify age and consent. And when we see that happen, it's instant, it's global, and it will significantly prevent this problem.
So I need to take a quick break. When you were talking to me and Adam, I don't feel like I heard that message about the credit cards quite as clearly as you just stated it. That seems like a very specific intervention. Are you?
Yes.
I'm going to take hang on. I'm going to take a break, and I want you to tell me, are you having good, sort of uptake from the credit card companies? Are you getting headwinds? Is there resistance? And what is the nature of that battle? Okay. And then if you want people to sort of participate with you, do you go to traffickinghub.com?
Justice, actually, justicedefensefund.org is probably the best place to go. And from there, you can sign the petition, join 2.3 million other people signing the petition to shut down Pornhub and hold its executives accountable. And you can take lots of other action steps from there.
And then, Caleb, I understand I saw some notes that you put in that you had some concerns about how this would happen. So we'll let you ask some questions as well, okay?
Yeah, that sounds good after the break.
Okay, be right back.
The Wellness Company knows that taking charge of your family's healthcare is a top priority, and that's why they're constantly innovating to deliver the products and services to help you be rationally ready. Be sure to have the medical kit for kids on hand, whether you're a parent or grandparent. It treats 20 childhood conditions, including nausea and vomiting, allergies, asthma, inflammatory illnesses, even bioterror, God forbid. Listen, croup, ear infections, lice, it's all available in the pediatric emergency kit. You can also order the kids kit with an EpiPen should your child be at risk of anaphylaxis. And those EpiPens are carefully sourced and well priced relative to other EpiPens in the market. All 7 kits, each customized for a different purpose, come with a telemedicine consultation and a guidebook. Skip the scramble to an urgent care waiting room full of sick people and expense, or a pharmacy where there's no guarantee they'll have what you need. Go to drdrew.com/TWC for 10% off any medical emergency kit, or the supplements for that matter. That again is drdrew.com/TWC.
What's so special about Paleo Valley's grass-fed and finished bone broth and superfood bars? Well, everything. All are delicious, high in nutrients, low in calories, and contain nothing artificial. Co-founder Autumn Smith on what goes into every superfood bar.
So we have bone broth protein powder, and then we've added other superfoods, cashew butter, we have spirulina in there, acerola, broccoli powder, kale, blueberries. And so it really is kind of just an infusion of superfoods with every bite.
And then there's the extraordinary bone broth protein made with an ancestral approach that boosts our collagen intake.
Collagen is something that's gone by the wayside in our modern diet because we don't eat nose to tail anymore, but it was something we ate a lot of, and it has so many benefits. So if you have sagging skin, joint pain, gut issues, your decreased bone mineral density, slow to heal your wounds, slow recovery, these are all things that collagen can dramatically improve. If we're not giving our body the building blocks to produce it, we just age more rapidly. It also improves sleep, improves blood sugar control. So it's essentially like the Swiss Army knife of healthy aging.
Like I said, Paleo Valley's bone broth is something special. Make Paleo Valley part of your longevity regimen. Go to drdrew.com/Paleo Valley for 20% off when you subscribe and 15% off your first order. That is drdrew.com/Paleo Valley.
I ain't Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew. You want to spend the whole session talking about Dr. Drew?
There you go. Even you call him Dr. Drew.
And just a couple of quick notes I want to add on to those little commercials, because we are very enthusiastic about those people that we have relationships with that support us. And For Patriot, I think that was her name, or it was Patriot. Oh shoot, I lost her. Real Patriot says, I love TWC. I love the Wellness Company. I just want to point out, Wellness Company is also a world-class supplement company. I mean, they have great supplements there. And they now have a peptide that is like the GLP-1s, except it's you essentially put in water, a couple drops, called Drop. And I took it, and it does control appetite. It's sort of extraordinary. If you have reason to want to take intervention and not take the risks of the GLP-1s. I think this could be a really big breakthrough. And they have hair growth, they have everything there. They really are a great supplement company. And speaking of which, get your Fatty 15, get your Cinesync, get your NR. I saw somebody saying on the Rumble Rants, I take NAD every day. NAD doesn't get to your cells, doesn't get where it needs to go. You have to take NR. It's nicotinamide riboside. That's the only way it gets in to raise the NAD levels. Please. That's up there. Yeah, doctor.com/vshred, MD, vshred MD. Everyone should be on these things. And I'm not saying I'm an enthusiast, but, you should also be on your blood pressure medication if you have hypertension. I mean, there's things which people should be just doing. So, any event, let's get back to our guest. She is on an important campaign to try to get control of a crime scene, as you frame it. And you were saying, of course, Laila Mickelwait, and you can tell them again the Justice website again.
Sure, it's
it's not in front of me. Justice Defense.
Yeah, justicedefensefund.org. Yeah.
It is in front of me. I beg your pardon. We have traffickinghub.com, but it's justicedefensefund.org. And then before the break, we were talking about credit cards and how that could just change everything instantly. So what is going on in that front?
Yeah. So early on, we understood that the credit cards were just such an important pressure point in forcing change. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, these corporate, executives, they care about one thing, and they care about money, right? At the end of the day, this is a risk-benefit calculation for them. And as long as the benefit outweighs the risk, they will continue the exploitation as long as it's profitable. So we understood that one of the best ways to hit them where it really hurt would be to go after the credit card companies to cut ties. And so, that's exactly what we did. And one of the, craziest things that's happened is the former owner of Pornhub, who sold the site in 2013, came forward in the midst of this campaign going viral. And he said he wanted to help. And one of the things that he said was, if you really want to bring them to their knees, if you really want to force change, go after the credit card companies. That's exactly what we did. And thanks to the help of many, many people, and especially the victims who came forward, courageous survivors like Serena Fleitas, for example, who was the face of a powerful New York Times expose called The Children of Pornhub. And, she at 13 years old, she was convinced by a boy a year older than her to send some nude images and videos of herself, which she did because she had a crush on the boy. At the time, she was an innocent 13-year-old. She had never kissed a boy before. She was a straight-A student. And she sent these images and videos, and he shared them with classmates, and they were uploaded to Pornhub, where they began to get millions of views. And she would beg for them to come down, and she would be ignored. And if they did respond, she testified before Canadian Parliament, and she's currently suing Pornhub and also suing Visa for its relationship with Pornhub. But she said, that if she was answered, they would hassle her to say, prove that you're a victim in these videos, prove that you're underage in these videos. And even if she did get them down, they would just get re-uploaded. And this sent her on a spiral of despair. And she ended up, getting addicted to drugs to numb the pain. She dropped out of school. She was being bullied. She tried to kill herself multiple times. And this is very common with these types of victims. There's some surveys that are showing that, up to 50% of victims of image-based sexual abuse have suicidal ideations. And then she ended up homeless, living out of her car. So she's suing Pornhub today. And, she actually sued Visa. They lost their motion to dismiss in 2022. And that really tipped the scales in all of this. And finally, Visa actually cut ties with Pornhub, MasterCard, joined PayPal, Discover, and they were demonetized essentially. And that is what triggered them in a panic to take down, like I said, 91% of the site. So we know how much power the credit card companies have. And so what we're asking them to do now is to implement agent consent verification policy. Now, MasterCard actually took a huge step in that direction in 2021 and Visa in 2022 to require the verification of uploaders. But that's just not going far enough. We have to have the verification of the individuals in every single video in order to stop this abuse.
So you don't want to take down Pornhub. You want to sort of corral it, let's say, or make it
absolutely not
a crime
absolutely
scene.
No, I want to take down Pornhub. I want to shut down Pornhub. 100% from the very beginning. This has been about shutting down Pornhub and holding its executives accountable. And the petition that gained 2.3 million signatures from every country in the world, the call to action is shut down Pornhub, because that is what justice looks like in this situation where the executives have made intentional policy decisions that have destroyed the lives of so many victims. And we could talk about some of those.
Okay, I'm happy to. But what is their business model? How are they making money? You said there's some of it is credit card for some of it, but is it all data? Do they just sell the data of the users?
So the free porn site, so the free porn tube site model is essentially selling advertising. So they were selling 4.6 billion ad impressions every single day on Pornhub, on millions. Again, in 2020, they had 56 million pieces of content. So on 56 million videos and images, they were selling 4.6 billion ad impressions every day. And that is how they were monetizing the content. They were buying the ads. The advertisers were buying the ads using Visa, MasterCard, Discover, right? Now they had other ways that they were monetizing. They were monetizing user data, right? Again, to sell to advertisers. And third parties. But, they had like a small part of the site that was this model program where it was pay to download content and it would be behind a paywall. And then they were monetizing that way. But again, that was about 20% of the site. But yes, that's how they make money on free porn. Now, when we talk about trafficking, let's just really quick zoom in onto why the movement that I started was called Trafficking Hub. It is because anytime you monetize or commercialize child sexual abuse or non-consensual sexual activity like rape, right? That is what defines trafficking. So that's what makes rape trafficking, is when you commercialize it. Now, when we have all of these videos, when you have Serena, when you have, a 12-year-old boy from Alabama drugged and raped and overpowered by a man named Rocky Shea Franklin, who uploaded 23 of those videos to Pornhub with titles that indicated that it was abuse, like Young Ass is Best, like Uncle Secret and Little Nephew and things like this. And they're monetized. Listen, these are monetized videos. And that's what makes it trafficking. So I think that's really important for people to understand, is that is the business model that was, relied on unfettered, unregulated, frictionless uploading that allowed so much illegal content to go through. And the things that we discovered, because we had moderators from the site coming forward, we had employees and managers and so many people coming forward to expose the inner workings of the intentional decisions that these executives made to enable this to happen. Like, for example, like they had one person out of 1,800 employees who was tasked with the job of reviewing videos that were flagged by users as terms of service violations, including illegal content. And they had an intentional policy where a user would have to flag a video 15 times for it to be even put in line for review. So you would have a victim that would see their rape on the site, and they would, if they wanted to flag that video, they would have to flag it over 15 times for anyone to do anything with it, to even put it in line for review. And they had a queue of over 750,000 videos in this queue. They had, well, I'll tell you one more thing. We found out they had 30 moderators working in Cyprus. Now compare that to Facebook's 15,000, and they still don't have enough. And they were working 10 at a time, 8 hours at a time, 8-hour shifts, 10 at a time. They were clicking through between 800 and 2,000 videos per 8-hour shift, just with the sound off, often just clicking through these videos, guessing who was 16 and who was 18, guessing what was rough sex and what was rape. And often they were guessing wrong. And those were intentional decisions to hire just 10 people, right? And that was not just for Pornhub. It was actually for all of Pornhub's sister sites as well.
Caleb, you had some questions for Laila?
Yes. Yeah. So I coming at this from, I've run a lot of websites in my time, but I've never really had to deal with this sort of an issue before with any of the sites or forums and stuff. But can you explain to me why like Microsoft PhotoDNA can't solve most of this problem by just getting tags and the I forget what the hashes of it, so that it could just ban all of, if basically, Drew, what PhotoDNA does, I don't know if you're familiar, but it takes images or videos that are illegal content, and then it gives them a hash value. So people don't have to actually view it or review it again, but then that hash value gets added to a database, and then websites that are connected with Microsoft PhotoDNA or Cloudflare has their own system. It automatically runs any uploaded photo or video through this system, flags and deletes and reports anything. So these sites that have user uploads, it's kind of a system in place. But why isn't PhotoDNA fixing this?
Sure, I can tell you. And by the way, Pornhub wasn't using any available technology until they were in hot water, until they were exposed. And we have this from testimony, from depositions, from evidence gathered in legal discovery. We know that that was the case. But even if when you employ hashes, that does help with some instances, especially, previously uploaded instances of child sexual abuse where you can hash this content. And there's other technology that can do the same thing as well. One issue is that when you modify, if you're trying to hash a video, for example, if they make a modification to that video, if there's a small edit in that video, often then, if it's re-uploaded, it won't detect that video. But again, this is for previously reported and hashed, but it doesn't account for new CSAM, right? New child sexual abuse, new, if you're going to apply this to adults. The other issue is that AI can't do anything that we can't do. So if, we're talking about previously hashed, but if you're talking about detecting new content, they can't tell computers can't tell the difference between 16-year-old body and an 18-year-old body, right? One is contraband, one is a federal crime, one is legal in the United States, right? If you're over 18. And so again, this is a game of Russian roulette. This is a game, a sadistic game of Russian roulette with people's lives, where unless you're actually reliably verifying with a government issued ID, right, the age and then the documented consent of every individual, there's no way that they can be able to detect this content and take it down.
Right. Which that also brings me to my other question, which is my concern of just specifically because I've been on the internet for a very long time, is that I'm not against your idea with this, but I understand the big pushback for it is that if adult sites require photo ID to be submitted for everyone, for the users and for the uploaders, then what ends up happening is that place becomes the world's biggest target for hackers on the planet. Like that's 100,000 times bigger than the Ashley Madison leaks. And so it seems, is there any fear, or are there any things being put in place that if your plan was to go through, what do you do about those situations? Because it's going to get hacked. Like that's going to be the biggest target. That's all the people and all the blackmail and everyone on Earth and their photo IDs.
I don't disagree with you. And you know what? Pornhub is currently being sued in a class action for data exploitation. I would never in a million years want anybody to hand their ID over to Pornhub or its parent company, MindGeek. But we have third-party companies. We have, privacy respecting, legitimate companies that, are very advanced in their technology and the way that they can verify using a biometric scan in 1 second. They could, tell who is, your age, and then immediately, without even using pixels and numbers, without even actually obtaining your ID. And that's for the user side. So I first want to make a distinction about what we're talking about. So first of all, there's those who are behind the screen, right? Those are in the videos. And we need to verify that they're adults and that they are consenting, right? That they're not children or rape victims. That's one thing. Then we have users, right? These are free porn sites. And so we have so many children who are being exposed to this content. So much of it illegal, so much of it where a 6-year-old child could watch a real rape as their sex education. And we need to protect them. So the idea is that we're going to implement age verification in front of the screen and behind the screen. And when we're talking about user age verification, there is technology we have, and it's the similar technology to what we would use for those in the videos. But I just want to make a distinction between, the user side and then those who are in the videos. And
because it makes so much sense. I mean, that's something that I think almost everybody would support, is that anyone who can upload a video to these sites, all of those people should have verification, should have ID verification. You should know who those people are. You should know who's in the videos, so that if they upload something that's illegal, then you know exactly who to go after, right?
Not just the uploader, though. Not just the uploader. It has to be the individuals in the video.
Well, right, exactly, right. That all seems totally rational. It seems like something they should have had in place this whole freaking time. Like they should have done that, and they haven't.
They've had USC 2257 since 1988 in America. We've had a law that the pornography industry, for the most part, we talk about like brick and mortar studio produced porn back in the day. They still have like professionally studio produced porn, where they have to abide by this law called USC 2257. It requires identification and consent verification for those who are in the content. It just hasn't evolved, and they haven't been held accountable to this law in the internet age when we have user-generated content proliferating on these sites. So there's that, right? Like that's not a novel concept. It's common sense. But I also think that children need to be protected in front of the screen too. And I do think that age verification is a reasonable way to.
Well, and so that's an extension of my
early porn exposure, Caleb. The early porn exposure is causing porn addiction like crazy.
It
shatters
epidemic.
the brain upper regulatory limit, and they just become preoccupied, or they're so traumatized by it they have other mental health consequences as well.
That's 90% of the purpose of having parental control software is just to block a whole big old list of sites of all of this stuff, and that still can't even get it all.
That child
they can
goes
get on
to
other
school
kids' computers and right.
Yeah, there's one of their screwball friends goes, "Oh, look at this," and then now you're
It's just not enough. I think we need so many different layers. When we think about safety in other contexts, we think about safety in a car, right? We don't say like a seatbelt's enough, and then that's all you need, right? We have so many different layers of security, and I think the same is here, right? We need parental controls, but think about kids that don't really have attentive parents. What about parents that are not tech savvy? What about parents that are too busy putting food on the table to be monitoring their kids' screen time 24/7? What about kids in foster care, right? What about those kids? Like they need, we can't just put it on parents, right? And so this is just another layer
out there, exactly. And it makes a lot of sense. You're right. It makes a lot of sense, and it's very harmful. It's just my worry about it is I know how these things work. I know how people they come in and they say, oh, someone just rammed planes into the Twin Towers, and so we need something called the Patriot Act to watch what everyone does because it keeps everyone safer. Or it's they make they're constantly trying to add these new things that are making people who are not criminals and who are not doing anything wrong give up some of their privacy and some of their rights. And so it seems like it would be almost like an acceptable medium that obviously there needs to be laws in place that anyone who wants to upload to these sites should have their photo verification done. But it just seems like such a large risk to everyone's rights because it always starts with, protect the children. Like it's always the way that they kind of push new things in. And I'm not disagreeing with you, like something needs to be done about it. But this is how all of our loss of our rights are always won. They always take it by saying we got to protect the kids.
Laila, paint what you'd like it to look like, what the landscape would look like. Because, as people are saying on the chats, you take down Pornhub, there'll be 20 other sites, that fill it in. And so you have to, the phenomenon needs to be contained. And what you imagine, in a utopia, what would that look like if you could get all these things in place?
And I appreciate that commentary because I think that naturally people's minds go, well, if you hold Pornhub accountable, even though, they are the world's largest porn site, right? Owned by the conglomerate of porn. So this is a key point. It's owned by a parent company that has a monopoly on the global porn industry with a $362 million loan. They essentially rolled up the porn industry from Colbeck Capital, a hedge fund, and, other investors that included Cornell University and JP Morgan Chase, and they bought up the world's most popular porn sites and brands and tube sites and rolled this up under one enormous international multi-billion-dollar conglomerate called MindGeek that they now renamed ALO. So when we hold Pornhub accountable, just FYI, we're holding a bigger organization accountable and all of its sister sites, and we're setting a new industry standard. And what we're doing is we're creating a deterrent effect. And what we're seeing is that other competitors, some of the biggest competitors in this space, like X-Hamster, owned by Hammy Media, for example, they're proactively trying to clean up their sites. They're trying to take down illegal content. They're trying to change the upload process because they don't want to end up like Pornhub facing litigation, facing criminal charges. They've been criminally charged by the U.S. government now for intentionally profiting from the sex trafficking over 100 victims in California. So I think that's really key. But to the point of we don't want to whack-a-mole. We don't want to just be whacking this site and then this comes up. that's why I think the key to this, like I said before, is if Visa were to say, we don't do business with user-generated porn sites that don't verify agent consent, just like they have anti-money laundering policy, instantly. Right. These are highly motivated companies to comply with credit card company demands. You would fix this problem quickly.
Well, and it's, to the people that are saying in the comments, I understand they're saying where it's like you shut down the one big one and then 20 more sites grow out of that. But that's similar to illegal drug trade, where it's, you're never going to win the war on drugs. It's just a constant battle that you have to fight. And so if you take down the biggest one, 20 more might pop up, but it's going to be a lot harder for those because then none of them can get credit cards. None of them, the users are all spread around. So I respect the fight that you're doing. Like, someone has to be fighting against them, even if they may never get to the point where, all access to all adult sites require, ID verification. Someone fighting for that is making big changes. Right. You can get real close.
At least with the biggest sites, the biggest sites out there. And we're seeing it actually happen in real time, that they're making these. Let me tell you, on June 30, Pornhub had to take down. So I said there was 9% left of the site that was remaining after the fight over the last 5 years. And they had to take down a significant portion of the remaining 9% on June 30. And today they have been forced to now implement the verification of the agent consent of people who are uploading now. But it took since 2007. They've been doing this since 2007.
Well, I consider you part at all. Hang on. Why have free porn at all? Why not make it all somehow make it all have to be purchased? That would sort of create everybody would. I'm thinking of human motivation, right? The card companies would be motivated to do that. These porn providers would be motivated to do that. It'd be a business model, and it would help create a layer between the user, just some kid on the street, and somebody who has to pay.
That's age verification right there, is to put it behind a paywall, first of all. I want to point out the hypocrisy of these sites like Pornhub, who recently sued, the state of Texas, and they lost. It went to the Supreme Court because Texas implemented age verification to protect children from access to these sites. And Pornhub and its allies sued, again, that went to the Supreme Court. They lost. But, they're saying they're up in arms about privacy. They're saying, we're protesting. They shut themselves down in 17 states across the U.S. Pornhub actually shut itself down in France because it wanted to oppose age verification. That's its second biggest market. It shut itself down, saying, making this big deal about privacy. When, listen, the same company that owns Pornhub owns some of the biggest paid sites and subscription sites in the world: Reality King, Brazzers, Mofos. Name so many of these subscription sites. And they own a payment company actually called ProBiller, where they're taking the credit card payments from users. And they're taking that data, that private information, names, addresses, credit card. They have no problem when it serves their financial interest to take your private information. The problem with free porn is once you put that verification, they're going to lose traffic, and they need traffic to sell ads. And so that's why they're opposing this. It has nothing to do with privacy. And so I think everybody should just understand that from just baseline. Let's just get to this from a point of truth.
Right. Well, I respect you a lot. I feel like you're part of internet history here, because that's a massive undertaking. I think it was the biggest takedown in internet history. So I applaud you for that. Very, very good job, and keep working at it. Keep doing this.
Thank you. Thanks for being part of it.
Yeah, your thinking is quite clear, and you express it well, and it's hard to push back. It makes sense, and it's about helping people and not hurting people. It's silly that we have to have these conversations, but I guess there's a lesson here, which is when technology progresses, be careful what you wish for, and that we have to get on it and pay attention to harm done. I've been aware for a long time of the harm done to the young user. What is it now? The average age of porn exposure is 9 or 8, something like that. And those kids are affected by it. To pretend it's not happening it has a profound effect. Maybe not every single time, but a large, significant percentage of the time. And it's funny, I just had this sort of off topic a little bit, but I had a conversation. I was on Tim Pool's show last week, and I had a conversation with a couple of young men on that show, and And they're angry with the sort of lack of moral boundaries, let's say. They're like, I want some guidance. I want to know what's right and what's wrong. Like I'm a young person. Help me make good choices, not just a free-for-all. And I feel like your campaign is sort of part of that process. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's raising a really important awareness in our understanding of what's proliferating today on the most popular porn sites in the world, and the way that that can be damaging. And it's not, it's yes, it's illegal content, it's rape, but it's also depictions of rape, it's depictions of children. Teen was one of the most popular categories on Pornhub for so many years, and the executives were counting to the dollar how much they were making on these categories that depicted and included underage abuse, like the teen, like old, young, like very young, minor, and all these different kinds of tags and titles. But then you have, things like choking and strangulation and other things that are really proliferating, and incest and whatnot. And some of this in the U.S., it may be legal, but kids are consuming this content, and it's shaping their ideas about sex. It's shaping their understanding of what sexuality is and their template, and it impacts them forever. And that is why I just think it's so important. This conversation couldn't be more important, that we're protecting kids behind the screen and in front of the screen. And if you think your kid couldn't be subject to abuse behind the screen, couldn't be one of the victims who's had their abuse immortalized on Pornhub, think again, because today, 1 in 7 9 to 12-year-olds has shared a nude image or video of themselves. And so much of this content that gets uploaded.
That is child sex trafficking. That child can be actually in legal trouble for having done so. And the child who receives it and then shows it to his friends, each of those is a potential offense.
Yeah, so it's not just where a child could be raped by another individual. A lot of this trauma and a lot of this that's getting uploaded and monetized online, and again immortalized online forever, is self-generated. And so I think that every person that cares about children and cares about issues of sexual violence and trafficking should care about this issue. And I think also, just from the in front of the screen perspective, when people are consuming content like this, often we hear that it takes them down a very dark road, where they may have started in one kind of content and they got more extreme and they got more extreme, and it got younger and younger, and eventually they ended up consuming actual child sexual abuse material. And that's a real concern as well.
That is what happens. I was going to mention that in porn addiction per se, there's a progressivity to it, and it gets into places where they need more and more arousal to get the same effect, like any drug. And it can go to terrible, terrible places where I just don't even want to think about it. Well, Laila, thank you for joining me. I knew this would be interesting to our audience here. Again, let's wrap this up by you sort of giving us a call to action here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go to the justicedefensefund.org website. There you can purchase my book, Takedown. That's the story of the fight to hold Pornhub accountable, and 100% of author proceeds are donated to this cause. You can sign the petition, join millions of others, join Team Takedown, and let's go ahead and finish this job. Hold Pornhub fully accountable, shut it down, and then make sure that this stops and is prevented across the internet on other websites in the future.
And our audience, I think you heard a little bit from Caleb, is concerned about having a knee-jerk reaction, going so far that then you started restricting civil liberties. I don't think anything you've suggested gets near that, and good. Let's all participate in this and get to the right place. Laila, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Now let's talk about who's coming. Jenny McCarthy in here tomorrow. I want to open with a little apology to her. There she is. And I think we have a guest on after Jenny as well.
I think Allison Morrow, possibly.
Allison Morrow, I believe she is on the list. I saw that as well. Listen, I'm just looking at your guys' comments. People were pretty active today on the rants and in the restream. Susan, anything you saw that I should be commenting on?
No, we're just batting bots.
Batting bots. And Caleb, from your standpoint, anything is surprising or new or interesting now that Laila has thrown the gauntlet down.
I'm just surprised it's still such an issue. Like I actually thought PhotoDNA from Microsoft was advanced enough to stop it, and I thought it wasn't like you couldn't just edit a video or an image and then it wouldn't catch it anymore. That's the way I understood it, is that the hash would still be maintained. That's a big problem. Especially, it's going to get worse with AI though. Like it's going to get much worse. It's going to get worse. I warn every woman I know. I tell them just be ready, because it's like I hear from a lot of the women that I know that they're afraid of, someone is going to swap my face out into a porn photo and then spread that around. And I'm like, no, you need to be ready for not that. It's going to be something created over in China or overseas that leaks over here that makes a whole website and collection in a second. Like, it's just be ready for the fact that there's going to be explicit material faked with AI of everybody. It's going to be a really painful time for a little while, and then it's not going to matter to anyone, because then there's going to be photos and videos of everybody generated.
Susan, that was your point. She said one day everyone's going to have a porno, and this is how it's going to happen. It sounds like
everybody does already.
Yeah, it seems like it.
I mean, we have Photoshop now, and it's going to be nothing. It'll be 2 clicks, and there's a whole site made of any person's face. So just get ready.
And Caleb, what do we do? What do we do with the Epstein, before we wrap this up today? What do we do with the fact that I'm on the Epstein list and I'm dead behind the eyes, according to our users? How should we?
You're also boring.
And I'm boring. Well, that's Emily.
Well,
Emily.
the boring part is good.
Yeah.
Boring is good.
Caleb?
Now I really want them to leak the list, because if you're on it, who else is on it? It's going to be like Mother Teresa. It's going to be some popes on there.
I'm
it's going to be... Yeah,
I want to put Susan on it. I've decided, because then we can follow it. We can see where it goes. I'm rubbing mine because it itches, not because my eyes are dead or because it's some code to somebody. This is how crazy you can get, people. So I'm using it as just an example of watch your cognitive distortions, because they can really get the better of you. And then my other campaign is to give this time, give it a little breathing room to see if we can get to the truth somehow. All these things. And I agree with Tucker. I agree with what Tucker said about we're tired of seeing the elites get away with everything all the time. That is disgusting to us. And we are really tired of being lied to. And the fact that President Trump said, and then it didn't happen, I get it. I get
that's
that's
the first time he's really done that.
It's true, as far as we know.
But if it's for national security reasons, that's what presidents lie about. That's
There's
my
our
opinion.
list. Kennedy coming in on the 29th. Mama June. Mama June is on the list now.
She's on the list.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And Pumpkin's coming in with her. I haven't seen them in a long time. A lot of good guests coming up, as we said. And we'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock with the great Jenny McCarthy. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.